Welcome to Percolating Change, a podcast where we brew better outcomes one sip at a time. I'm Alicia James, and today I'm speaking with Brad Semmens, an organisational psychology expert and director at Objective Consulting. And I'll be speaking with Brad today on the topic of creating change within to enable more effective change without. So in the next 10 to 15 minutes, Brad will cover, understanding that change is an inside job before it's an outside job, and where to begin when it comes to internal change. I'm looking forward to this. So welcome, Brad. Good to have you here today.
Yeah, thank you, Alicia, and appreciate the introduction, and it's exciting to be on your podcast.
I'm really interested in this topic about creating change within before you can create change externally. Who is our target audience for today's show?
I'd say our target audience are those that tend to be in a sponsorship position within any change or transformation project.
Okay.
And leaders and managers in general that have teams of people that they're relying on to bring the change. That's what I'd say.
To bring the change in. All right. So when we say look at yourself internally first, I love that concept. Can you unpack that a little bit for us, please?
Yeah. So what I've come to realize through a lot of the different engagements that I've done, whether that's with small businesses, with larger multinationals and executive teams, as well as federal government, that change tends to be more of an inside job than an outside job. And if we can look near before we look far, we're essentially bringing back in our locus of control. We're taking our power back, for the lack of a better term. I know that's a bit of a loaded statement. Well, what do you mean by taking your power back? However, if we think that the problems or the forces that are derailing and against change are way out there in other people, from things that happened days ago or things that are yet to happen, as opposed to right here, right now, pulling the levers and pressing the buttons that are within my reach and my control. If we have that perspective, it makes change far more effective in the long run. So that's in a nutshell what I mean by that, but it is a very in-depth conversation around essentially, well, how can we take more ownership and responsibility and recognize our role for influence when it comes to whatever change or transformation project we're a part of. Sometimes we overlook that as leaders.
Yes. So I'm hearing from that is that I need to look at managing my own behaviours, managing the way I show up, managing how I come across. So managing myself before I can manage or engage with others. So if we're always deflecting outwards, is that what you're saying? If we're always deflecting outwards, or it could be someone else's problem, someone else's fault, or it's that team over there, what am I doing to contribute towards that negative or positive?
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. And I think you mentioned something really important there is it's about self-management, managing self. Then it's easier to manage others, and then beyond others, managing the actual change or transformation beyond them as well. So we have to honor the inherent process, as within, so without.
Unpack that for me now. Because I'm just thinking of something my mother said, and we didn't talk about this actually. It's either my mother or my father. It started at home anyway. It's about, there's one particular friend of mine who I really wanted to be. I think I was around 15. I wanted to be her best friend. We were in the netball team, and she was a popular girl. I really wanted to be in, in the in crowd. And something that my parents said, it was about, not everyone's going to like you. You can only manage how this particular girl, I'm not going to give her name, she may not like you for a number of reasons, but if you want to be
Mhm.
likable, you have to manage how you are. You can only control you, Alicia. Can't
Yeah.
control anyone else. You can only manage how you are. I've never forgotten that. Um, doesn't always go to plan. But that whole, is that right? Am I on the
Yeah,
same
well,
track with
that's
that,
a
or is that too simplistic?
look. No, it's a great metaphor. So often, I see a lot of experiences. The frustrations that I see many leaders and managers have is obvious, is somewhat, and it's uncanny, but it tends to be a reflection of something that's not being sorted out or resolved within themselves. Not in all contexts.
Yeah,
We don't want
yeah,
to gaslight ourselves and
yeah.
take on responsibility or blame or that may genuinely not belong to us. But in most cases,
Mm,
I think in the metaphor you share, it could be, well, why am I struggling or fighting so hard to be liked by the person out there?
yes,
What if I could
yes,
just go, okay, how can I just like myself a little bit more to not care whether that person likes me or not? And therefore, that's an
yeah,
example of you taking your power back, if that makes
yes.
sense.
That's absolutely, my parents did not articulate it that way, but now that you've said it, or if they did, I can't remember, but that's
Yeah,
exactly what they meant. What is it about yourself that you may not like? And sometimes then we project it out, don't we?
totally.
Um,
Often
but
a good question, oh, sorry, a good question to ask ourselves is, what am I making that, whatever it is out there, what am I making that mean about me and my
mm,
ability? Am I
mm,
using whatever's happening in my outer world to validate or reinforce why I don't have the ability to create change or impact? Or
mm.
is it supporting it?
Yes, yes. Now, you said your target audience was anyone that's involved in facilitating change, and you started off with sponsors, change managers, etc. Can you give me an example of how that I could? What would be a typical day if I'm turning up tomorrow? What would be? What do you have a story that you can set
Yeah.
around to share?
Yes. So one client, we're wanting to streamline operations in a construction company, and we're
Hmm.
clear on what key changes need to happen, but for some reason processes aren't being followed, people are being reactive, and they're jumping the gun and not doing what we um, planned out and all mutually agreed on, and it just seems like the same old continues to happen. In
Mm,
this case, the director gets frustrated and upset that they're just not sticking to the new processes, what's going on. And for this particular client, it was, for instance, when you come up with new initiatives and everyone agrees on it, it doesn't mean that you say it once and then you expect the change to just happen.
mm,
Sometimes you do have to sound like a broken record
mm,
in order to get change to stick. It's not about
mhm,
saying it once in the perfect way and then everyone just switches gears like robots. It's something
mhm,
that has to be consistently worked at. So this particular leader was getting frustrated at the team for not embracing the new change that we had all agreed on. And now it's about this particular leader realizing that the role that they need to play is more extensive than they first thought. That
mm,
it requires more consistent input and effort from
mhm,
them, just exactly the same behavior that they're wanting from their team needs to
mhm,
come from them first to be the main reinforcer and supporter and encourager of having this change stick. So there
mm.
can often be this frustration or resentment. Why aren't they getting it? Why aren't they doing it? we need to point the finger back at ourselves. I don't know if you've heard of the metaphor where every time you point at someone, there's three fingers pointing back at you, and
Mm.
often
Yeah.
our hands face down, so they're invisible. We don't see the
Mhm.
three fingers pointing back at ourselves. We just see the finger
Mm.
pointing at others. So I
Mm.
think that's
Mm.
just a typical example of where a leader gets frustrated that the change isn't happening as fast as people want it. And my question is, well, how committed are you to enforcing and yes, sometimes sounding like a broken record to begin with in order to get that change to stick?
Mm. Mm. And enforcing is an interesting word, though, isn't it? And I think, t-
Totally.
yeah. So when you were chatting there about, you know, people not responding quickly enough, it could just be that I need to be told several times, or I need to. You hear it, and in one level, at a certain level, I understand it, and then it's not really relevant right now. It's not actually going to impact me for X period of time. Yep, I know about it's over there, but I'm not going to be needing to jump, hop, and skip to get there right now. It's going to be a journey
Hmm.
that I go along to actually embrace this change. So
Yep.
how we show up, how our leaders show up is important. That consistency, is that what you're saying? That consistency in reiterating.
Consistency, but
Mhm.
also curiosity, because I like that you
Mm.
brought up the idea of enforcing change, because it's not. I wouldn't say that's the best choice of words. It's not
No,
necessarily about
no, no, it's not my choice
enforcing
of
it.
words. I'm just thinking,
Yeah,
you mentioned it a couple of times. I'm thinking enforcing. I don't
yeah.
think that goes down very well.
Yeah, it's more about going on a journey together and collaborating
Mm,
and seeing eye to eye as you go along the way, rather than this top
definitely.
down,
Yeah.
approach. Um,
Mm,
so good pick up there on that front.
yeah.
Um, Consistency, but also curiosity. If the way that you
Curiosity.
deliver, yeah, if the way that you deliver something doesn't stick, and maybe you get yes and the nodding of heads, and it seems like there's agreement, but that doesn't
Mm,
necessarily translate to I truly understand and know the importance of this. So I don't know if you've
mm.
heard of the format learning model. It's it just talks
I'm not
about
sure.
how people take in information and like to learn. So some
Mm.
people are all about the why and the context, and when they have
Oh,
that
okay.
understanding, they they can grab hold of the change and help implement it as a change
Mm,
champion or change agent. And then you've got those that prefer to learn through the what. They like
mhm,
all the little details and the layers and all the parts that make up the whole of whatever the
mhm,
change initiative is. Then you've
mm,
got those that are fully focused on the how,
mm,
step one, step two, step three, step four, and then those that like to ask all of the what if questions around
mm,
curveballs and what come your way.
mm,
So it's important to be consistent, but also curious, and that takes
mm,
effort, and it's ongoing effort,
mm,
to be curious enough to understand, well, how is this truly landing with the team,
mm,
and that
mm,
everyone, just because we can agree that something needs to happen doesn't mean that we truly understand it, and now that we're going to fully demonstrate that.
exactly. I think that format, I've not heard it explained as format, but I do know what you mean. And certainly as a trainer, we addressed those four categories back in the day when I entered the public service as a trainer. It's the why. It's for me, it's why.
Yeah.
Why am I needing to
Why?
do this? So why? When I've got the why, then the what, how, and when falls into place. But I
Falls
need
into
to understand
place.
why. Okay, you want me to move house? Why? Oh, you're
Hmm.
selling, are you? So okay, you're selling. Oh, because you feel like it, or because I don't know, I want to sell my investment property, whatever. I need to understand the why because then I can somehow unpack the others. But you're right. Everyone's different, and getting to the same information is different, isn't it? If the what, the
Totally.
how, or the what did you just explain? The detail. People that are their eyes are in the detail. Yeah, I need the why first before I can get to the detail. But
Yeah.
It doesn't
Yeah.
matter. It's,
Treating people
um,
how they want to be treated, on top of obviously there's a set
yeah,
standard of how we want to treat people, but
yeah.
taking in consideration everyone's learning styles and how they interact and navigate change.
Mm, mm. So,
You know,
Brad, do you, because I know objective consulting, is that something that you deliver? Is this a coaching format that you deliver in your company?
yeah. So I primarily consulting. So, whatever engagement that
Mm,
might consist of, it might consist of some culture development, some leadership development, executive coaching, and then working
mm,
on different change or transformation projects.
mm.
Could be cultural change, it could be operational change, it could be a variety of different projects or initiatives that we spend time on. It could go for months,
Yes.
even longer.
Mm,
And
mm.
then outside of that, I'm currently creating a leadership program for, well, a self leadership program for leaders that want to go on a deeper inward journey, which will be
I love
called,
it.
yeah, the integrated leader, and that'll be a 12-week program. So that'll be launching soon. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh, excellent, excellent. Well, when this, if because this podcast will come out sort of end of March, mid-April, 'cause, so I'll definitely loop back to you to get those links. If you then have links to that integrated leader um, uh, training, I'll link it in the actual podcast
That'll
for
be awesome.
everybody.
Thank you.
Yeah. So we're coming to the end, but I mean, I'm curious, is there a myth around this or a challenge around this that we need to be aware of? Let's do the challenge first. Is there a challenge around this whole look within, without? Is this a continual working on ourselves?
I
Tell me,
think
is there?
I think it's always important. It's I see, leaders that I work with, those that tend to look near before they look far, and often
Mm,
realize first that it's more about our resourcefulness with our resources versus it's the resources. You know, they're not doing it
mm,
right, or um,
mm,
we don't have enough resources, whether that's, people, systems, capital, whatever it might be. We don't have enough. We don't
mm,
have enough. It's just we're externalizing.
mm,
Whereas those that I see that are the most successful are those that look near before they look far. They look within
mm,
before they look outside. And they tend
mm,
to have greater resilience, greater flexibility and adaptability when change outcomes aren't, unfolding as they'd like.
mm.
And yeah, are far more resilient and discerning around problem solving as they go along. So, which, yeah.
Yeah. I like that. I like that. It's like almost like cleaning house first, isn't it? In a way.
Yes, get your house in order, you know?
Yeah, yeah. And then it makes you more human. I'm just trying to live these examples. Makes you more human if you look internally first
Yep,
and then,
absolutely.
contextualize it. And in terms of a myth, do you have any myths you'd like to bust on this?
Oh,
You don't have to
myths.
have one. It's just a throwaway question I like to ask.
Well, I think the myth is, like, we convince ourselves that it's the resources and not our resourcefulness. So I'd like to
Mm,
challenge that.
I
Um,
love that.
it's a bit of a cop out, I think, and I think it's hard to lead our teams to the outcomes we want to achieve if we haven't let ourselves, on that deeper, sincere journey
Mm,
within. It can,
mm,
you know, to corral and bring a group of people together around a large change outcome or desired
mm,
state. It
mm,
really takes being able to move them internally and help guide
mm,
and foster some of that growth that happens within, as opposed to just doing a bunch of stuff
mm.
outside.
I
So
like
how can
that.
we make it more
And
intrinsically driven and internal?
mm,
Yeah.
yeah, I like that. In terms of lessons for anyone who is wanting to make that change, so one or two things that they could do tomorrow. I'm a leader and I want to look more within. Um, I want to make that change instead of being external, looking all the time and pointing over
Mhm.
there. Is there anything that you could say that I could do tomorrow that would make a change,
Well, I
a
actually have
noticeable
something
change?
well, I have something tangible to offer here, and I think it's important for
Oh, nice.
leaders to so when we think of leadership,
Mm,
and we think of, say, the topic of power dynamics, how does a leader
mm,
use their power? What is their relationship with power based on their position and the authority they have? So when
mm,
it comes to leaders positively impacting and influencing and driving change, I often look at a leader's relationship with power. And so I think, well, what does
mm,
power consist of when it comes to leadership? And I go, okay, well, leaders have authority and
mm,
they also have the ability to influence outcomes.
mm, mm.
So I've just literally put together, and I've been working on this for years, my own leadership psychometric self-assessment tool that helps a
Yeah.
leader understand what their relationship is like with power, what their relationship is
Mm,
like with power, and then as a result, how they position themselves relative to their teams and the situation that's around them. Um,
mm,
so it's a great tool and a resource to uncover and help you understand if, let's say, you're frustrated and you're not getting the change outcomes that you want within the change projects that you're managing and within your teams that you want to help drive them. This tool can provide you incredible insight into how you use authority. So that's on the y axis of this particular model.
mm,
And then how you use your influence. So you've got
mm,
directive authority versus distributed authority, which is more of a collaborative approach.
mm,
And then on the x axis, we have influence. Do you influence change outcomes more indirectly or more directly? And so out of that report or assessment can come great insights in terms of maybe what you need to shift internally, behaviorally, to
mm,
influence your environment or your organization in a more effective way. So,
mm.
if I were to give something, I'd say go to, so it's the number five stances of leadership.com. And then you can do that
Oh,
free assessment. It takes 5 to 10 minutes and it will
I
spit
love
out a
that.
report.
Is that yours, Brad?
Yeah, that's fully
Fantastic.
my own that I've
Fantastic.
created over the years, and I'm going through the testing and validation stages. But everyone that's given me feedback has said that they deeply resonate with what it's revealed to them in that
Mm.
respect.
And that's for leaders or would-be
Yeah,
leaders? Yeah. It's
for leaders,
yeah,
managers, business
yeah.
owners.
I think
Yeah,
that's so important, Brad. I'm really glad you've developed that because often I've found that leaders, they just get promoted and they have all this responsibility. I don't mean they just get promoted. They are hired or recruited or be promoted because they're competent in their job.
yeah,
But the managing people and the influencing and being able to collaborate, that has not been met at all in terms of any form of support or training or anything like that. So,
oh, totally.
yeah, and
How
we
to
need
manage your
that.
power is,
Yeah.
people that maybe exploit, and
Mm,
say more of a dictator versus those that, for the lack of better terminology, more of a doormat and are too
mm,
subservient. So
mm,
going on that journey of how do I use my power effectively to
mm.
influence change? It's a topic that isn't really covered much at all.
No, no, it's not. I'm really glad you're doing that, Brad. I hope to hear more about it on
Oh,
LinkedIn.
thank you.
I want to
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
more
You'll
about
see
this.
more
It's
about it.
really, yeah, I love this. Look, we've come to the end. We've come to the end. So I mentioned LinkedIn. Where can people find you? You've talked about integrated change leadership. I want to get that name
Yep.
right and when that will come out. If you feel comfortable in talking about when that will be available, because as I've said, I'll definitely, hype that up in the post when this comes out. So where
Appreciate
can
that.
people find you and all of that? Yeah, please.
So can find me at www.objectiveconsulting.com.au, as well as LinkedIn. I'm very active on there, and I'm posting a lot more, short and sharp videos
Nice.
on there. And the integrated leader self leadership program will be released, I'm hoping, within at least the next 4 to 8 weeks. So
Nice, nice. I'm
yeah,
I'm I'm excited about having a look at what that is
yeah,
as well
yeah.
too, when it comes out. So that's
Appreciate
wonderful.
that.
Thank you so much for joining us, and everyone. If you've enjoyed today's percolating change, please like and subscribe, and look out for other short episodes coming up soon. Thank you so much, Brad.
Thank you.